This is Exene Cervega from the band X.
You know I burn like wooden legs. Leave me breathless.
And you are listening to the New Wave Music Podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the New Wave Music Podcast. I'm Steve.
Hey, this is T-Bone. Before we begin, we'd like to give a shout out to our listeners in Kempner, Texas. We really appreciate you listening to us out there.
To our listeners who've been with us for a long time, you may have noticed this voice that's joining me, the one, the only T-Bone. T-Bone, where you been?
Well, I tell you, Steve, life sometimes gets in the way. And so the big announcement that you've been teasing for the past number of months, actually, is that this is going to be my final regular episode on the podcast. Now, there's always that possibility that something will come up that I'll join in with you, Steve. But yeah, this is going to be the last one for me.
Well, T-Bone, it's been a real thrill and pleasure having you on these podcasts all these years and your contributions, and you will be missed. And your mic's always open if you want to join us.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks, Steve.
It's been quite a while since we've actually done an album review episode. Let's take a stab at it. The first album we're going to be listening to is from the new one from Billy Idol. You're no doubt going to remember Billy from his hits such as Dancing With Myself.
Well, I wait so long for my love vibration, and I'm dancing with myself. Dancing with myself. Dancing with myself. When there's nothing to lose and there's nothing to prove, but I'm dancing with myself.
White Wedding.
And there's nothing pure in this world. Look for something left in this world. Start again. Come on, it's a nice day for a white wedding. Whoa, what's a nice day to start again.
And Eyes Without a Face.
Eyes without a face. Eyes without a face. Got no human grace. Your eyes without a face.
So this one is called Dream Into It. It came out right here in 2025. This is the 9th studio album for Billy. I thought there'd been more than that, but yeah, it's only the 9th. His previous was 11 years ago. That was 2014's Kings and Queens of the Underground. This one, of course, has Billy on vocals, his regular side man, Steve Stevens, on guitar and bass, Tommy English on guitar and synths, Chris Chaney on bass, the journeyman Josh Freese on drums, Glenn Sobel also doing drums, Joe Janiak on keyboards, and Nick Long on guitars.
Well, T-Bone, you mentioned this is his 9th studio album. This is also his shortest studio album, coming in at just over 34 minutes. And also on this one, it looks like it was a kind of more of an autobiographical album from Billy. It's storytelling about his life, which I kind of digging into this, found out that there's really two halves to this album. The first half really reflects on Billy's past, such as his passion for music, his humble beginnings from the London punk rock scene, and his alcohol and drug addiction. The second half is more forward-looking, with Billy trying to improve as a family man, finding love as a distraction from his rock star lifestyle, and really appreciating what he has in life. Let's take a look and see what Billy's been up to. Let's kick it off with the first track, Dream Into It.
And the records turn like they did when I was young, and I still don't know if I've only just begun. And the records spin as a soundtrack to my sins. Baby, I'm dying to live, so I dream into it.
The album kicks off with the title track, starting in a calm electric dreamscape with introspective lyrics pulling us into Billy's world. But midway through it morphs into a pop-punk ballad that reflects on his childhood dreams. I really love the mellow, dreamlike tempo. It gives us a space for Idol's lyrics to breathe and set the stage for a story he's about to tell. Right away, you can tell this isn't just another rock record. It's a concept album, a personal journey. One highlight for me was when Billy shifts into more of a bit of a spoken word towards the end of the song. that tone or shift and that brief tempo just added a lot of an emotional impact on this song.
Yeah, I particularly like the jangly guitar that opens up this track, and Billy sounds pretty good after so many years. I think you may have liked this song just a little bit more than me, Steve. My main problem with this track is it's so generic despite all its pluses. The musicianship is fine, and as I just said, Billy's voice certainly isn't the problem. About halfway in, the pace of this track briefly picks up, but this is about as non-punk as Billy has ever been on an album.
Let's move on to track number 2, 77.
She said, doing like we did it before. Thought back like 77. Hey, hey, hey. Thought back like 77. Hey, hey, hey. Thought back like 77. Thought back like 77.
This one's a blast of high energy, a duet with Avril Lavigne that blends Billy's 70s punk rock roots with Lavigne's early 2000 pop punk edge. 77 references that iconic year in punk history. And for Billy, it's personal. That was the year that he was part of the Bromley Contingent, which was a group of individuals following the Sex Pistols from show to show. One thing I didn't know included in that group was also Susie Sue from Susie and the Banshees. This track is fast, fun, and easily one of the album highlights. The lyrics hit, the chorus is catchy, and Steve Stevenson's absolutely shreds on his guitar.
Yeah, so you mentioned that it's a duet with Avril Lavigne. This is the first of 3 duets. And Steve, I could be wrong. I definitely could be wrong, but I don't remember Billy doing any duets in the past. So this is an interesting experiment this late in his career. This is a fun, fast-paced track about his life as a rocker in the late 70s. And I have to say, Steve, that Lavigne sounds great with Billy, but I do have to question why she was used on this song when she was born well after 1977. There's another duet coming up soon that I thought would have made a far more sense with this kind of song. And as we would expect, Steve Stevens gets in a blistering solo late in the song. He still knows how to play. With all that said, I really enjoyed this track. Next up is the third track, Too Much Fun.
They said, pick your poison, so I drink everyone. I've had that fatal job ever since I was young. I'm not leaving until I say I'm done. 'Cause I don't wanna have a little, I wanna have too much fun. Yeah, 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 yeah. Wanna have too much fun.
And we get back to Billy on his own here. The guitars that open up this track are exceptional, as well as the pounding drum beat. It's clear after the last song that we're getting a fairly personal look at Billy's life through the lyrics, and that is certainly the case here as well. He sings about a number of experiences in his life, from drug use to his well-known motorcycle accident. The pace of this track is just right, and Stevens once again gets to show off his guitar playing. Him and Billy are so intertwined that one could not be the same without the other.
Well, T-Bone, here I found that this was a kind of more of a deceptive track. It's upbeat, but it's really about some darker times, drug abuse, excess, and even Billy's near-fatal motorcycle crash. Only Billy Idol can take a subject that heavy, wrap it up into a 3-minute hook-filled anthem. It's raw, honest, and carried again by Stevens' unmistakable guitar work. For longtime fans, this is a must-listen.
All right, and up next is the fourth track, John Wayne.
'Cause I am not afraid, and I won't go down in flames. 'Cause nothing's gonna be the same. And everything you know, you keep inside your soul. 'Cause tonight I'm gonna be John Wayne.
We get the second of the duets on this track, this time with Alison Mosshart from The Kills and The Dead Weather. I gotta say, I'm not really familiar with her, but she has a phenomenal voice. She begins the track and then Billy joins in. This mid-tempo track doesn't build up too much, but it does have a nice pace. But it's really that combination of vocals that make this track work really well. The instrumentation is top-notch here, really creating a great combination.
I was kind of surprised to find out that this was actually a reworked version of a track originally released back in 2008 on Idolize Yourself. This time around, the track hits way harder. Allison brings a haunting elegance, and her vocals blend beautifully with Billy's. The track starts off slow but builds into a sonic wall, and with Steve's guitar exploding by the end. This is also the first moment where we actually get a full-on snarling, gravel-voiced Billy Idol, and it's glorious. The song is inspired by the actor John Wayne. The song reflects rising above personal limitations, a theme Idol delivers with conviction. Moving on to track number 5, Wild Side.
Riding in the fast lane, baby, and I'm not slowing down, down, down. I still got a wild side, and sometimes it still comes out, out, out. I can't love you like you want me to. If I let you in, then we both lose. I still got a wild side, and sometimes it still comes out, out, out.
This one does feature a duet with the legendary Joan Jett, reflecting on youth and rebellion. It's got that rebellious spirit alive and kicking. And yes, Steve's guitar solo again is fire. My only critique though, with an icon like Joan Jett, I just wish she had a little bit to do more vocally, but it's still a meaningful track that showcases both artists looking back without losing their edge.
Yeah, so this is the last of the duets on this album. And you've probably already guessed that this is the artist I really feel should have been with Billy on the track 77. She lived those years. It just seems to make sense, but hey, it's Billy's choice. When I heard that she was on the track, I really expected it to be that raspy, I smoked too many cigarettes voice that we've heard on a number of other Joan Jett songs. But incredibly enough, she sounds as smooth as silk. She and Billy really matched perfectly on this song. Stevens gets in some serious guitar licks throughout the song. They are tight and exciting. And what really excites me as Billy hits the road this summer with Joan opening is that she will come back on stage to join him on this song.
I'm looking forward to that. Cannot wait.
Absolutely.
Let's jump into track number 6, People I Love.
Why do I keep pissing off people I love? It hurts like hell for heaven's sake. Every time I mess things up, another little piece of my heart breaks. The way it is, it's just the way it always was. I gotta find a way to stop pissing off people I love.
This track kicks off the more introspective second half of the album that I mentioned earlier. Lyrically, it's rooted in Idol's past mistakes and their impact on his family. It's sincere and heartfelt, one of the most vulnerable songs on the album. I love how his voice blends with the guitar tone. It's autobiographical and yet raw. A standout line on here, little T-Bone, that I really liked was, "Why do I keep pissing off people I love?" That lyric alone hits deep and sums up the regret and reflection running throughout the song.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the song opens with a nice guitar and bass combination. This is the first track that I specifically heard the bass. It's a nice addition to go along with Stevens' great guitar playing. Though it isn't one of my favorite songs on the album, I do like his lyrics. She gives me 1, 2, 3 second chances, but I never get it right. Billy's love songs in the past have been fairly biting, and this one isn't too much different from them. That'll take us to track number 7, Gimme the Weight.
Gravity changed. When it gets heavy, it's you I'll carry. When it's hardcore, I only want you more. 'Cause I give it away just to carry the weight with you.
I have to say that this song didn't work for me so much because it doesn't have too much of a different sound than we've heard already. The backing vocals on the song's title and an oh later in the track do make a nice addition, though. The lyrics, once again, expressing a number of issues of Billy's life, are definitely the strength of this song. Even the guitar playing seems like a secondary element in this track. They certainly aren't bad, but they don't stand out like they did on other songs on this album.
See, T-Bone, here's where we're probably going to disagree just a little bit. I think this one did sound a little different than what we've heard. To me, this song kind of really leans more into the Billy's new wave territory with some moody synths, some catchy choruses, and it's a song about seeking comfort in the love after a life of chaos. Also, T-Bone, one thing listening to the song, I couldn't help but think of the band Bleachers when I hear this. And it's really kind of more about those chants or that delivery of the title that gives it that big arena pop vibe, something that Bleachers is kind of known for. It's emotionally rich, but super hooky at the same time.
All right, up next is the 8th track, I'm Your Hero.
So much love, so much light, so much sorrow. In your eyes, I'm brand new, I am pure. I'm your hero, I'm your hero, I'm your hero. I'm reborn.
In a change of style, this track opens with Billy and backing vocals going a cappella, and it really is a nice way to try something different late in the album. This is an unusually beautiful song, both in the way all the lyrics have been produced, but also the instruments, which includes quite a bit of acoustic guitar, something that I don't remember hearing before too much on the previous tracks. Billy really seems to be exclaiming his inner feelings and thoughts. Along with that acoustic guitar, we get some Spanish style playing as well. It's an unexpected change, and it's brief, but it's a nice addition.
This song I really kind of like more as seeing Billy more in the light of a family man than a rocker. It opens with a dramatic, almost gospel-like style a cappella intro that you mentioned, then transitions kind of more, I felt it more into like a bluesy rocker. It's a reflection on slowing down, finding love, and what really matters. It continues the theme of self-awareness and transformation that runs throughout the album. And that's going to bring us to the end of the album. Track number 9, Still Dancing.
I'm still dancing. Now I am alone. Got everything I need next to me, right here in my bones. I'm still dancing. Now I'm in control. I got everything I need next to me, from LA to Tokyo. Say yeah, yeah, yeah. Say yeah, yeah, yeah.
The closer and probably the track that will satisfy most of Billy's fans, Still Dancing, is part of that. It's part of the throwback vibe from Billy's 80s new wave roots. Part victory lap with lines like I'm still dancing, but now I'm not alone. And from LA to Tokyo, those lyrics feel like it's a full circle moment for Billy as it nods to dancing with myself, while assuring that Idol still got it and then some. Perfect ending to a short but impactful album.
Yeah, we finish off this album with a song that's meant, at least by the title, to take us back in time. He used to be dancing by himself, and here he's still dancing. Not a bad way to conclude the album. It's a fast-paced track that is highlighted by some strong guitar. Pretty much everything from the musicianship to the vocals come together to make a track that's easily will bring back memory of Billy's earlier years. No, it's not as good as those classics, but it's a fine conclusion to his collection.
So T-Bone, on this album, I found that it balances nostalgia with a fresh direction, showing that Idol is still pushing boundaries well into his 5th decade of making music. From punk rock energy to the emotion that Billy's shown, spoken word passages to some catchy choruses, each track reveals another layer of his story. The collaborations with Avril, Allison, and Joan Jett are smart choices, I felt, even if maybe some of them weren't utilized as best as they maybe could have been. But again, this is Billy's journey, and we're just on the ride with him. Steve Stevenson's guitar work is electric throughout. What stands out most is how personal and cohesive this record feels. It's not just a collection of songs, it's a concept album, as we've mentioned, or maybe more of a musical memoir. If you're a fan of Idol, punk rock, or new wave, this is a must listen. And even if you're new to his music, Dream Into It is an excellent, heartfelt entry point. So T-Bone, on this album, I would still say I would give it a recommend. Billy Idol proves that he's not just dancing, he's still evolving.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. This album offers a mix of solid musicianship and introspective lyrics, though it occasionally falls into generic territory. Despite some pacing inconsistencies and a couple of missed opportunities with duet pairings, the album features notable guitar work from Steve Stevens and showcases Billy's enduring vocal abilities. The experimental inclusions of different styles and the deeply personal lyrics content add depth, making it worthwhile, though certainly not groundbreaking addition to his discography. While it may not surpass his classic hits, it serves as a respectable return and offers a glimpse into Billy Idol's continued evolution as an artist. So I too would recommend it. It's not going to be up there on the top of my Billy Idol albums by any stretch, but it still is a pretty good album.
Well, T-Bone, it's been quite a while since we've gone through music news, so we've got quite a stack, so let's jump into it.
Yes, we do. So you may have already heard, of course, but we do have some sad news in the new wave world. Mike Peters, the frontman of The Alarm, has passed away. And instead of us really saying anything, we'd like to play a tribute from The Killer's Brandon Flowers.
People say music can save your life, even change the world. Mike Peters believed it, and he lived it. From his punk rock roots in North Wales to stadiums around the world, Mike's indomitable spirit led the alarm with heart, grit, and fearless optimism. He gave us anthems like 68 Guns, Marching On, Strength, The Stand, songs that brought you courage when you needed it most. Every word meant something. A call to arms, a battle cry. You were not alone.
68 guns!
True to form, when cancer came for him, Mike didn't back down. For 30 years, he faced it head on. With his wife, Jules, he turned his personal battle into a crusade to save others. They created the Love, Hope, Strength Foundation. They turned every concert, every mountain, into a life-saving, hope-giving force. With Jules and their boys by his side, it was all in. They carried it as one. The music, the mission, the fight, and somewhere tonight in a crowd or on a mountaintop, his spirit is still marching on, forever by our side.
The 68 guns!
The Blow Monkeys are back with a brand new single, The Penny Drops.
Until the penny drops. Until the penny drops. Till the penny drops. Until the penny drops.
Their upcoming album, Birdsong, is set for release on August 15th.
And one of our favorites, the Chameleons, have dropped a powerful new track called Saviors Are a Dangerous Thing.
Super-Nero and his ego smile as they worship the king, dancing the tango with their opinions, roasted minions bow as they kiss in the rain. Saviors are a dangerous thing.
And this is the first single from their forthcoming album, Arctic Moon. That one's going to be due out in September on the 12th.
And the first of a couple artists that just dropped a new song out of the blue was new music from The. They've released the song Slow Emotional Replayed.
But I don't even know what's going on in myself. Everybody knows what's going on with the world. But I don't even know what's going on in myself.
Not to be outdone, Peter Garrett, of course, of Midnight Oil fame, has released a standalone single called God on My Side.
And I wonder about the suppression you get when you're down on your knees. 'Cause I'm, well, I'm fine. Need your God on my side. Need your God on my side.
He said it didn't quite fit into the themes of his last album, The True North, so it's being released on its own, and hopefully we'll see a new album from him in the near future.
Speaking of new albums from established artist, David Byrne has announced a brand new album, Who is the Sky, that's coming out on September 5th. And the first single, Everybody Laughs, is available now.
Everybody's going everywhere at once. Everybody's backside, everybody's front. Hey, hey, hey,
And Claudia Brucken, known for her work with Propaganda and Ex-Propaganda, has released a haunting new single, Shadow Dance.
I dream black and white, no colorful tonight, my shadow dancer. My shadow's been far away, looking all around in my sleepy celluloid. My shadow dancer.
From her new solo album, Night Mirror, which is out now also.
And finally, Men Without Hats have released a nostalgic new track called I love the 80s.
I love the 80s. I love the 80s. The decade that made me. I love the 80s. Terminator, come and save me. I love the 80s. Latchkey crazy. Crazy about the 80s. La, 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 la.
It's a fun look back at both the band and the era that they helped define. They've confirmed that there's a new album in the works, although no release date has been announced as of yet.
All right, let's jump into our second review. This one's going to be for the new Ministry, and we do use the word new lightly. You'll, of course, remember them from classics such as Every Day is Halloween.
They say, why are you dressed like it's Halloween? You look so absurd, you look so obscene. Why can't I live a life for me? Why should I take the abuse that's good? Why can't they see that just like me? It's the same in the whole wide world.
Revenge.
I got done. What do you feel? You did it again. You did it again. You did it again and again and again.
And when they went a little bit more industrial, Stigmata. So this album is called The Squirrely Years Revisited. It came out here in 2025. And this is the 17th studio album from the band after Hopium for the Masses was released in 2024. And Steve, I think everyone knows the story. Al Jorgensen, the only lasting member of Ministry, puts out a new wave album in 1983 with Sympathy. Then for the next 40 years denounces it, saying he'll never play those songs again. Along comes 2024, and suddenly Uncle Al realizes there's money to be made. Not only does he start playing the old songs in concert, but here we have a re-recording of those early songs.
T-Bone, that's interesting with the story, but I also found a little bit more to that on why Al finally decided to. And the quote, I just got to tell you this quote, it was too good of a story not to share. This is something, of course, Al swore he would never do. Interestingly, though, it was his bandmates that encouraged the change, not all the money, but I'm sure the money helped.
I don't have any doubts on
So
that.
what Al said was the band has been talking about doing this stuff for a while, and they knew that he hated it. So they reworked a bunch of the stuff and then ambushed him after his show while he was on the tour bus, and they played me this stuff when they knew he was good and drunk. He described that he was shocked upon hearing the revamp material. They played this stuff, and I was just like, wow, who is this? And they're like, that's you, stupid. I'm like, oh, because I haven't heard these songs in over 40 years.
Well, and I still think there's some money involved on this, but that's a great story. So on this album, we, of course, have Al on vocals, Monty Pittman on guitars, Cesar Soto on guitars, Paul D'Amour on bass, John Bechtel on keyboards, and Pepe Clark on drums. So let's start off on track number 1, Work for Love.
Finally got my resume. Said you check it out someday. Girl, hey, do it if you dare. Where we'll go, our love will scare.
Now, of course, this was from the album that we just talked about, With Sympathy, and we hit the ground running with a bit more grungy synth line that was in the original recording. The guitars, on the other hand, sound about the same, at least as the song begins, and before long, though, they do grow quite a bit harder. Al also includes vocal clips from 50s dating courses. I'm not entirely sure they help the song, but they're short and don't necessarily hurt it any.
So right out of the gate, this one caught my attention. Those synth tones paired with that crisp percussions instantly recalled the original, but once Al's rougher vocals and those grindy guitars kick in, it becomes something else entirely. It's not a straight cover version, it's more of a reimagining as this album is. In addition to the radio announcer voice, kind of like you said, I felt that kind of added an unexpected and fun layer onto the song. promising start that I really hope is setting the tone for the rest of the album.
Next up, track number 2, Here We Go.
This one's for the people, baby, who made my brain such a mess.
And this, of course, also is from With Sympathy. The scuzzy synths are still in effect with this track, but the pace of it is right in line with the original recording. So far of these two tracks, Al's voice has held up fairly well. He's obviously gotten older and most likely worn out his voice from his industrial days, not to mention his days of debauchery, but for the most part, he sounds pretty decent. As the song progresses, though, his vocals change rather significantly. It becomes far more of a growl, which doesn't necessarily hurt the song. It still works in regard to the overall sound.
Well, T-Bone, this track surprised me in the best way. I wasn't really familiar with the original, but the infectious dance vibe really won me over on this one. The synth and the percussions blend beautifully, and with that light industrial touch mixed with Al's gravelly vocal delivery suits the song perfectly. And actually, I found out that this was one of the standout songs on the album for me. Let's check out track number 3, All Day. Another track I came into that I didn't really know the original, and again I was drawn in by that deep bass and old school industrial textures throughout the song. Al's vocals are dialed back a bit here. It's more subdued, which actually works well with the pacing. It might not be a highlight, but it's a worthy listen for those curious about the band revisiting its roots.
Yeah, and Steve, I think that maybe the reason you're not familiar with the song, as was I, that this one is from his second album, Twitch. And I recognize it to a degree, but definitely not distinctly. I never owned Twitch or anything after With Sympathy for that matter. Al's vocals are mixed nicely with the backing vocals, and he continues to use a bit of a growl. At other times, he comes across like he may be using a vocal mixer to change the sound of his voice. Regardless, it works pretty well with the instruments. There are some interesting synth parts also that go well with the driving drum beat.
Moving into track number 4, Every Day is Halloween. Here's the track that longtime fans are going to recognize right away. And this one does stick fairly close to the original. I found it dials down that record scratching, which I actually appreciated. I didn't really care for that in the original. This one I felt was a little bit of an improvement. The original's youthful vocals have been replaced with Al's signature growl. And strangely, it actually kind of works with this song. Dare I say that maybe it works better. My inner goth T-Bone is thrilled to see Al not just acknowledging these classics, but possibly embracing them.
Yeah, this is actually my favorite song on the album, I believe. And this was a single back from 1985. It wasn't on one of the albums, other than some greatest hits and such. If there's any song on this album that sounds like it's original, this is the one. The 1985 version, widely considered a goth classic, and this version doesn't disappoint. From the opening synths to that familiar drum beat, it will be easily recognized. Al's voice on the original version was a bit menacing, so it's no surprise that it continued here. What I find hilarious is hearing Al sing the fun bop bop as the song goes on, knowing how far away he went from that new wave sound in the early years. It just makes me laugh thinking of Al and all his ink and piercings sitting in a studio singing something so silly and making it fun to listen to.
And speaking of fun, and just watching Al having fun with this, you want to seek out some of his performances that he's been doing. Going back to Cruel World about a year or two ago when they kind of debuted this to now he went on tour with this material. It looks like him and the band are just really having a good time and hopefully, like I said, embracing this.
Yes. All right, up next is the 5th track, Revenge. This is another one from With Sympathy. Unquestionably, this is one of the most recognizable songs of early Ministry. Al's singing here is far more threatening with the vocals here than when it was originally released. And late in the track, he used some vocal editors to garble his voice, making it sound like he's a little bit underwater. It's not all that effective, but fortunately, it's really brief. And to be matched, the guitars are far harder, but they follow the pattern of the original instruments very well.
Well, T-Bone, this was my favorite Ministry track back in the day. And I was really going into this song with a bit of reluctance to see what this version was going to sound like. But I'm happy to say this new version does not disappoint. To me, it blends that classic nostalgic synth lines with some updated guitar work and some industrial accents throughout the song. Al's distorted vocals and that steel drum style breakdown before the chorus comes in were I found to be great touches. For pure nostalgia, this was the album highlight for me.
Up next is the 6th track, I'm Not an Effigy. And of course, yes, this one is from With Sympathy also. And this is the last song from that album, also extremely well known. The steady drum beat that starts the track, along with some scratching, are the highlights of this song. But then Al's vocals come in and I think they hurt this classic. He slowed them down greatly and does some yelling that doesn't really fit in at all. The rest of the instruments, especially a harder guitar, still make this track listenable, but the vocals come across for me as just simply annoying.
Yeah, you mentioned this is a rework of another early Ministry, I guess lack of a better word, new wave hit. This, though, I found kind of brings the bass and the percussions right up to the front where the original didn't. The guitars grind in, and I agree with you on Al's vocals except for one thing. Uncle Al's vocal punch delivery on the word effigy when he's saying that really made it land. And if you're a fan of With Sympathy, this is one I would say seek out. I found it to be a great fusion of old and new. Moving into track number 7, I'm Falling. This one threw me. The intro and the guitar work reminded me of early days of The Cure, and Al's vocals here are mixed to sound surprisingly close to his 1980s self. I don't know the original version, but I felt this take was so different that I wondered if it was a demo. To me, though, I still felt that this one's one that I enjoyed listening to once. I don't know if I'd go back and revisit it on future listens.
Well, you mentioned demo, and it's not so much a demo, although I can see where you're coming from. It was a single from 1982, not on an album. I have to say, being unfamiliar with this track, and from this point on in the album are songs that I wasn't familiar with. I really actually enjoyed how this one started. Some police sirens in the background, then a driving beat accompanied by both acoustic and electric guitar, and a nice bass line. But Al's vocals don't match up as well to the instrumentation. He doesn't sound too bad, but he adds in some unnecessary yelling during the chorus, a chorus that is a bit repetitive, though not enough to hurt the song. Fortunately, the pace of the track is its strength. It doesn't change too much throughout the song, but it does work overall really well.
Well, let's jump into track number 8, Same Old Madness. Percussions on this one to me was the standout. The mix of musical texture throughout the track is intriguing, but Al's smoother vocal tone here, I kind of felt to be a bit distracting. And it's a song I'm glad I heard once, but like the last song, I really don't see myself revisiting this one too often as well.
Yeah, so this is another single. It was an unreleased single from 1982, and then it was finally released in the mid-2010s. The tempo continues on this fast-paced track that opens with strong synths and guitars, but it isn't all that different from the previous song, both in style and content. And that's not to say that it's a bad song. I do like the synth additions that creep in throughout the track. They show a fun side that you wouldn't necessarily expect from either Al or the band. And the last one that we're going to talk about right here in depth is number 9, I'll Do Anything for You. Again, this is a single from 1984. This is the final track we're going to discuss, and it has Al and company really going synth heavy. Of all the songs on this album that I wasn't familiar with, this is probably the one that I like the most. Al does a nice job with his vocals, keeping them to a normal level for the most part. He feels the need to add a little yelling, well, because it's Al. He keeps most of it to the latter half of the song. It's a bit annoying, but just doesn't seem to be all that needed. I guess you can only ask for so much, though.
Well, T-Bone, here I found that we actually ended on a strong note. The tight synths, plus a hint of those, I really enjoyed the synth horns. To me, it kind of really felt to bring things full circle. Al's vocals are mixed just right here, and that post-chorus melody is what really sealed the deal for me on this song. I've never heard this track before, but it's one that I'm going to come back to, and it's a solid closer to this revisited era out of an album.
So these are all the songs that were on the regular release.
Right.
And there's actually 3 songs that were included on the digital release.
Mm-hmm.
These are all from the album Twitch. We're not going to necessarily go over them. There's track number 10, Just Like You. Number 11, We Believe. And number 12, Over the Shoulder. And Steve, you know, I gotta be honest with you, I'm kind of glad that we're not discussing these because they're not on the actual release of the album. I got to be honest with you, I did not find any of these to be very interesting.
No, I can see why they're bonus, and I'm really kind of glad for this review we decided just to stick with the actual LP version of the album, not the digital. And if you're a big Ministry fan, you want to check them out, they are there for you on the digital platforms.
Right. So like I said, coming from the album Twitch, which was that crossing over from his new wave days, moving into his industrial side, I think you can kind of tell from these songs that he was making the move there. And for me personally, they just don't have much appeal.
So T-Bone, would I recommend this album? Going back on my notes, looking at the track-by-track reviews that I did, I'm going to have to say yes, but with some context. This isn't just a rehash of Ministry's early catalog. It's a deliberate reimagination. For fans of their synth-driven With Sympathy days, this album offers a fantastic bridge between that era and what has become known as Ministry's heavier industrial sound that they're known for today. Tracks like Work for Love, Revenge, and I'll Do Anything for You really showcase what this album does best, respecting the source material while giving it a gritty, modern edge. Even songs that I wasn't familiar with, like Here We Go and All Day, really surprised me with how well they held up. Sure, there were some moments that were a bit even, such as Same Old Madness comes to mind, but overall, it's a compelling listen.
So, Steve, we kind of agree on this. I don't know that I liked it quite as much as you did. And I look at this album under a simple question. As a fan of With Sympathy, where most of the tracks are coming from, does this album add anything that makes it worth adding to my collection? While there are some differences between the versions, and I completely agree with you on what you just said, the answer for me overall would be no. I did like how the band was trying to bring some changes to the song, maybe a little new life, without completely rewriting them. But for the most part, they didn't express enough changes to see the real point, other than what I stated at the beginning, which I completely I think your story about him and the band is great. For me, it's still a money grab from Al. That being said, I didn't hate this album. I just know that if I had a choice between listening to this one or With Sympathy, I would easily take that 1983 album hands down.
Well, T-Bone, once again, I want to thank you for all the time you've put into this podcast. Like I said, you're always welcome to return to the mic anytime you want.
I appreciate that.
Looking ahead to our next episode, I'm actually going to be sitting down and talking with Steve Hovington of B-Movie. B-Movie just released a newish album where they've got, I think it's like a handful of unreleased songs, some remixes, and we kind of dive into that, the history of the band, and that's going to be on the next episode. I hope you check it out.
If this is your first time listening, we thank you and ask that you please subscribe. That's a great way to support us. And if you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to leave us a 5-star review. You can also find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search for New Wave Music Podcast. We'll catch you on the next episode.